Hello guys, welcome to our channel. This is Baby Roll. In today's video, I will be giving an update to my ultimate bleeder druid build. It's my main build for world versus world roaming, and it's a conditioned healing kind of druid. Most of you already know about it. It's immobilized that make a lot of people annoyed. So there was a patch on 4th of October that changed quite few things for the druid. Some of them is buff, some of them even got introduced to the game better than we were told, or at least thought. I will be explaining everything when I get to it. There was a video talking about everything in details if you want to see it, but like I said, there's few things actually didn't apply the way we thought it will. So there was a specific nerf to this build that made every roaming druid worried, which is Druidic Clarity. It now removes 3 conditions instead of actually removing 13, which basically all the conditions in the game. So what did that do to us and why it is a problem? Without it, we wouldn't think about changing anything. So basically, Intransitive Avatar will cleanse all condition, and a simple dodge and changing of direction still think you're free. What does that mean? You're not mobilized, chilled, or fear, taunt, anything. And while you're dodging, you can't even take more damage. So you can give yourself almost a moment of immunity, a way to survive in large groups or an outnumber situation. I put myself in too much outnumber situation in roaming, and that can be quite punishing. A lot of classes would go this far, like warrior used to use shake it off, for example. There's too many skills do that. Elixir C for engineer. Some classes would use that. Guardian all the time use converting all condition into boons, while Ranger only have this stupid skill, Saint of Renewal, which will kill your bit. ArenaNet to this day doesn't really pay attention to. There is no such a thing that should kill your bit. You will never supposed to kill your bit. You try to keep it alive. And it happened to the Untamed. In the first beta, they introduced this healing skill that ended up killing the bit because it gave us health from it. There is no way to heal the bit, no way to do anything, and it was changed to heal both of us and the bit. However, this stupid skill still actually works the same. It's a very long cooldown. It gives all the condition on your bit only in 600 radius, which I don't know why. The bit can be as far as 1500 from you. So why 600? And it gives the bit 2 seconds of resistance, only 2 seconds. And that because resistance used to make the person immune from all conditions. So it will give the bit at least 2 seconds of immunity. Right now, it only works on cripple, immobilize, stuff like that. Conditions that does not do damage. So it's not a solution. Unlike Soul Beast, when you can use Bear Stance, for example, or even Untamed, when you can use this skill to remove all condition. So there is no way a druid can do it unless you use Signet of Renewal or a Core Ranger, basically. And Signet of Renewal is a horrible choice with a very long cooldown. It's not aggressive enough to hit your enemy. And keep in mind, Druid is a bit glassy. Yes, I know the sustain is insane, but there is no active defenses. There is no Signet of Stone, there is no blocks, there is no Greatsword on a build like that, so we can't afford to lose Glyph Equality and lose everything and keep taking way more damage. This was the only moment of immunity we can have, so basically we enter Celestial Avatar, we use something like Lightning Reflex, we dodge, and we are out. We can rotate to Staff if it wasn't even the thing that we use, and will give us more cleanse. This was a way to leave combat, immediately survive it. So what did that do to us? All other changes is not really a big problem, some of them are even better. And however, I want you to keep in mind that a lot of things was buffed with the removal of the trade-offs. For Druid, for example, bits get their same stats, no longer 20% weaker. But to this build, it's not really a big of a deal since our bits are basically a utility tool. It's a CC and projectile defense, and the other one is a little bit of damage, yes, but it's basically a cover condition and a CC. So we're not running an Untamed with Drake, Tail Swipe. No, our bits are not that efficient. They are mostly tools or utility, as we don't care for damage. So it is fine, it's a buff, but it's not really a big deal. Druid in a situation right now which it practically will feel the same as it used to be before the patch, because how much all warriors got buffed. Probably maybe Blade Throne is pushed out, which was broken. All Mesmers gain Distortion again, even Soul Beast gain Bit Swipe. So there's a lot of things that are very strong right now in the game, so you're gonna feel about the same. But you're gonna need to train for the new Bit style or Celestial Avatar style, like gain some muscle memory. Now let's talk about the changes for the build. All the traits are the same. I'm running Wellness, Survival, and Skirmishing and Druid. Druid are basically still Druidic Clarity, Celestial Shadows, and Ancient Seed. I tried even running Primal Echoes, but when Celestial Avatar became extremely non-defensive style, since there is no condition cleanse or anything, it was very punishing. This days wasn't still as efficient, so it is good and it's a way to apply Ancient Seed on all the enemy if you combine it with the weapon swap to trigger Geomancy. So you will trigger the days and then hit with Geomancy. In a single move you will apply Ancient Seed to everyone around you. It was decent, but the no condition cleanse was a bit punishing, so I still stuck to it. And for skirmishing, we still running trap with trap expertise. We still have hitting barbs, which is a must to increase our bleeding damage, and we still use light on your feet since we're using short bow to pierce and do a little bit more damage and lower even the cooldown. And it is a source of our swiftness and some fury, which is irrelevant to us. Those two traits don't really matter as much. So I already made a video on healing trap before, and even video explains the skill and how it works. Healing trap is the way to keep your pet alive, since it will cleanse it instead of it melting by accident, since one condition burst land on it and no way to save it if you are using a troll ingot, which was one of the things I tried using with Celestial setup to actually get it with sharpened stone and use troll ingot to have higher healing, and I would have higher health pool, but the bit would dying or melting so easily, especially in outnumbered situation. And you lose the extra condition cleanse and the ability to be a little bit stationary with the bubble of the turtle and pulling your enemy toward you to eat the CC from it. It's like a different playstyle, and Troll Inguant wasn't really efficient in it. However, Troll Inguant was better if you're moving a lot or trying to kite or run away, but if you're trying to really fight, it wasn't as good. And I don't like in Celestial how it feel a little bit glassy for no value. You lose a little bit of toughness and you would lose even some condition damage with this setup. So I didn't very much like it. Now for Wilderness Survival we still running Lesser Muddy Terrain, and now we run Shared Anguish, which means now we can have a safe stomp on Druid, Condition Druid, which was something that never really gonna happen. So it's 3 seconds, only one stack. I wished it was more powerful. Even Ranger have better traits, like this one for example, a Stone Form. Every time you use an elite skill you will gain 5 seconds of take no damage, or Segment of Stone. The Segment of Stone itself is 3 seconds, and this one is 5. Endure Pain on Warrior is insane right now. So there's a lot of traits like this that work very fine, and we gain one stack of stability of 3 seconds. So at least it is stability, and you can immediately start finishing someone. The finish duration takes 3 seconds, and if you started, it's already spent part of it, so it's less than 3 seconds, and then swipe bits. Inside combat you will gain 3 seconds of stability, which means you now have safe stomp unless someone corrupted or remove it. You at least cover yourself with stability in PvP and World vs. World. And if this bit is a turtle, it's even better, because you can use the bubble to give yourself protection and stop projectile, and she can CC the enemy who come around you by triggering slam, which is very nice. You can even combo that with stealthing, so you can do that as a rotation and start finishing after swiping the bit with swiping the bit to get 3 seconds of stability while being stealthed, making it even more difficult to actually stop you. So it's a decent thing to have. And lastly, we run in Wilderness Survival. We have a lot of survival skill. We want to cleanse condition. It's very nice, lower cooldown, the whole normal stuff. And we gain protection on dodges from those two traits, and protection heal us and our bit. We gain even faster endurance regeneration by 25%. And keep in mind, this trait, Rugged Growth, is the only trait that will heal your bit even when it's dead. So it will count through filling Celestial Avatar and healing both of you. And right now we actually have this trait making Celestial Avatar regenerate by its own, which is a very nice thing to have. You will be having Celestial Avatar in no time. Now what changed in the gear? Like I said, I tried Celestial, I tried different setups and everything, and the most I was still convinced in is the same setup. My Trailblazer armor, weapon, and apothecary staff, like my short bow is Trailblazer, my staff is apothecary since it's used for healing and kiting. All my trinkets is apothecary except the bag is Trailblazer. So as you see, Trailblazer and everything else is apothecary, while the armor is Trailblazer and short bow is Trailblazer and staff is apothecary. However, I changed the rune. I no longer use krait. I actually use antitoxin. Look what you made me do, Arianet. So why is antitoxin? Antitoxin giving you condition damage exactly equal to krait, but it giving you lower condition duration applied to you by 25%. And the last part in it, removing a condition every time you remove a condition. Whenever you trigger any cleanse, you will cleanse an extra one condition from you, not from allies. It was nerfed a long time ago. So the loss of krait will mean a significant loss for us. What do I mean? Krait was very good in triggering Ancient Seed on every enemy around us. So as you see, the last part in krait giving you bleeding, torment and poison to everyone around you. It does not hit as a power hit, and still it will trigger Ancient Seed on everyone. So as you see, if I trigger Entangle, it will give 5 immobilize, 5 bleed. But if I trigger Ancient Seed with it, it's supposed to give 10. So I will trigger Glyph of Equality and then hit those golems. This one have a Defiance bar, so it won't work on him, but it's supposed to give those 2 golems Ancient Seed. Now when you look at that, it's already counting to 7, and here we go. Both of them are having way more bleed. It have 11 because the attack from the rune itself. So the rune already put bleed, and then 5 from this one, and then 5 from the trait, which mean a collective of 11 stacks of bleed. So that was very reliable when you're fighting multiple enemies to trigger huge amount of burst, and you keep immobilized up to the maximum duration, which one of them can have, but it will keep resetting it to 10 seconds, which is the maximum duration for immobilized right now. Right now, if you're not using krait, this is not possible. So you can't use the elite as a way to trigger Ancient Seed. Glyph Equality can still CC everyone, but you need to hit everyone at the same time, basically in less than 2 parts of a second, so less even than a quarter of a second, which is very difficult unless you hit in the same time to be reliable. At least, like if 2 enemies standing the way me and my bit stand, and you run your auto attack of staff through them, you will trigger Ancient Seed in both of them, but that's not really reliable most of the time. So how we do that right now, you use Glyph of Equality and trigger Sigil of Geomancy from Shortbow, or use Celestial Avatar Lunar Impact and Natural Conversion, or simply trigger any other hit, so Natural Conversion or Sigil of Geomancy, or even Glyph of Equality itself. So any group hit with any daze, the daze can come from Lunar Impact or Glyph of Equality, or even stunning multiple people with concussion shot and then hitting them with Glyph of Equality, for example, but that means to avoid using crossfire or an auto attack. So any group daze with any group hit, for example Glyph Equality, Lunar Impact with Natural Conversion, or Glyph Equality itself. So we lost a little bit of efficiency there, especially while cleaving or attacking down people or something, but other than that, your damage will not feel this much low, even with the loss of the condition duration from krait, which used to give us 50% to bleeding duration, and all of those 50% have removed. There is nothing comparing to them now. However, it's very high to Sharpen Stone, very high to Entangle, but they are already very powerful skills, and most of people will be cleansing. They will not lead that condition eat through much at them. You will feel it a little bit on losing that condition duration or auto attack, since it's barely 3 seconds and apart, and most people will be cleansing each 10 seconds probably. So it is a damage you will lose, and especially you're gonna notice around guards if you're solo towers, keeps and stuff like that, but still your survivability gonna feel much better with this setup. So I tried to compensate for the duration by using Agony Sigil instead of Doom, but Doom do about 3k and a half poison, and combine it with Geomancy, it can be very aggressive, so I found it to be better. The duration didn't matter this much to me. Condition damage is a bit enough. You can, however, instead of using Tropical Peppermint Cake with Combat Quality Tone Crystal, go for a higher damaging one, like for Celestial, for example, even the one with Condition and Expertise only, but always keep the food that give you regen every second. Even so, we don't need it as much as we used to, because Celestial Avatar will be filling anyway. And if this setup is the one you use, you have 2 sources of regeneration, even the healing skill and skill 5 on staff, but still it's too tanky. In 10 seconds you are 850 already regen in a fight that 2 minutes or more. These numbers can scale very high, so keep food like that. Now, what antitoxin do for us? We understand what we lost with the change of krait, but what antitoxin doing? Like we said, it will cleanse a condition each time you cleanse another condition, which means a survival skill like Sharpen Stone, instead of cleansing 2 conditions because of the trait Wilderness Knowledge, it will cleanse 3. So does the elite. It's very efficient even with cleanses on balls. Like the trap, it will cleanse 2 condition every 2 seconds for 10-second duration, which means 10 condition basically. However, every time it will trigger this balls, it will cleanse an extra condition, because this last line, the additional condition cleanse, have no internal cooldown. Each time the trap will trigger, it will cleanse 3, which means a total of 15 condition cleanse. This kills 3, this kills 3. Lightning Reflex is a bit special. The moment you push this button, the moment that your character start moving, it will remove the immobilize, which means that's a condition cleanse. It will trigger the rune. After it's finished the animation and giving you the boons, it will cleanse 2 conditions from Wilderness Knowledge, which means that another condition cleanse will cleanse an extra one. So it's immobilize and 1, and then 2 and 1, so it can cleanse up to 5 condition, and it's a stomp break and a dodge. Lightning Reflex is very, very efficient. And keep in mind, it's a group hit, so if you, for example, use Lunar Impact and you get CC'd and using it, you hit everyone around you with it in a very small area, but you will end up triggering Ancient Seed on them. So Lightning Reflex is very efficient right now. And even a sigil of cleansing on your staff will end up cleansing 4 condition instead of 3, and every cleanse you do will do that. So something they changed in Celestia Avatar, it's actually Seed of Life. Seed of Life, me and many other rangers in the game, we did not get that it will be actually instant cast. You can cast it even while stunned. So if you have fear or taunt, for example, you can put it almost at your feet while you're moving to remove it, actually heal yourself, grant blindness to your enemy, and cleanse the condition. You can use it even as a way of tanking, even if you don't have a stun break, just to reduce some of the condition on you. Like using Sharpened Stone, basically, it's simply instant. Which means it can be casted mid-casting Lunar Impact to still trigger the blast. Like CMC said, you will be able to do it, and everyone did understand how, even me, because it has a lower field preparation. It's a 0.66 second now, while Lunar Impact have longer. That's because it's an instant cast. So right now we're gonna use it exactly the opposite of what we used to. We used to cast Seed of Life at the point we will end up after 1 second delay. So if we're moving here, it will do the blast on us and do the cleanse. Right now you're gonna do it exactly at the moment you're barely moving and mid-casting Lunar Impact. So you used to put it like right here and then cast Lunar Impact in it. Right now that's not how it works, as it is instant. So you cast Lunar Impact here and put it inside it, and you get the extra cleanse, since it is actually instant. It was nerfed to cleanse only 2 conditions. So with the sigil right now, it will cleanse 3, and this blast will cleanse 1 condition, but with the sigil it will cleanse 2. So this combo of using Lunar Impact with Seed of Life will cleanse 5 conditions from you. So you can be very tanky with something like that. You can flip a fight, you're almost dying from condition, and you can just use enough cleanses to reset the whole thing completely easy to your liking. But you're gonna have to get used to this change, since it's the exact opposite of how it would used to be. But most of the defensive style in Celestia Avatar work exactly the same. So right now, entering Celestia Avatar will cleanse 3 plus 1. The seed will cleanse 2 plus 1, and the blast will cleanse 1 plus 1. So it's mean 4, 3, and 2, to a total of 9 condition cleanses. You can still have the moment of immunity we described like that. So let's say you can handle the damage. Don't do this trick if you will die immediately. If you have a lot of condition you will die, you need to remove it immediately. But if you can handle it like in a 1v1 or a 1v2, use Lightning Reflex at the first thing, because it will cleanse Immobilize, and then another condition, and then 3 condition, and then enter Celestia Avatar. If you can survive, use Celestia Avatar immediately, and then keep Lightning Reflex at last. So it will work like that. And dodge, and then leave. Right now I cleansed 9 from Celestia Avatar, and I cleansed 5 before that from Lightning Reflexes. And that is very high. If you can survive, if you can't handle about 1.5 seconds of damage, to use Lightning Reflexes first. If you have too much condition, use Celestia Avatar first, there is no problem. Most of the time it's safer to do it this way. And combine it with dodges to give yourself as a moment of immunity. Let's say I'm walking like that, so I will use it, and then I will dodge like that. Even can switch to staff to cleanse extra 4 and gain endurance to dodge again. because we have Sigil of Cleansing and Energy on staff. So you give yourself the moment of immunity again through increasing the amount of condition removed in your actions. So another good trick is skill 1 and 2 in staff now can be ally target, which mean if you're line of sighting, using your pet as a body shield or standing behind it, your enemy is stealth or whatever, trying to resustain yourself, you can use skill 2 on the bit to gain health to you both, instead of actually using it on an enemy. And as you see, this is an example of Pet or Turtle using Slam, and I use Glaive of Equality and actually triggering Ancient Seed on every mob. So it's a really good trick to actually sustain yourself and gain a little bit extra healing, especially when you're line of sighting the enemy or something like that. I find it a little bit difficult to trigger the bit, but when there's no enemy around, at least it's not that problematic. So that's it for the build. I hope you like it and find it useful. Tell me anything, or if you have any further questions in the comment, tell me about them. I have tested this for 20 hours after the release of the patch and like 40 before, so I've tested most of the ideas inside this build, if not everything, probably, and this is how I settled on playing it right now. So that's it for the video, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.